I got something for you. It's a dollar bill. You gotta make this dollar count, okay?
Thanks, Grandpa.
All right.
What does plus tax mean anyway?
Gelato! Cold, delicious gelato here. Come one, come all.
Can I get 2 scoops, please?
Yeah, that'll be $6.99. You see, we infuse all of our gelato with locally farmed oxygen. Gives it more of a creamier, milky mouthfeel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, Marg.
Pleasure, my pleasure.
Let's talk about Value of a Dollar, but you have also been a part of Stand Up to Cancer for quite some time now. You've been working with them, right?
Yes, since their first telethon, yes, thank you.
Which is also a telecast, I think, as well.
Yeah, thank you for helping me out there. Yes, 2008, and I have been ambassador for them, and I've been asked to be a part of this campaign with CVS, Value of a Dollar campaign, in which you're buying your products and you're checking out, and you got your pin pad, and you can just donate right there, $1, $3, or more if you have enough to spare. And yeah, it's through November 19th, so this Sunday is the last day.
And how does it work? So every dollar that's donated, does it get matched? Is it a campaign like that?
That's a good question, honestly.
Oh.
I think it gets matched, but I'm not exactly sure by CVS because they've been such a big, donor, such major donors to Stand Up to Cancer. But yeah, and it goes directly to the foundation, directly to the researchers and scientists that they've, assembled hundreds of people throughout the world who are working together to come up with a, cure, and have come up with 170 clinical trials, I think, since its inception, and treatments that have gotten to cancer patients faster, so they've become cancer survivors in a much more timely manner as well.
What prompted you to start working with Stand Up to Cancer in 2008?
Initially, my first exposure to somebody with to cancer was somebody close to me was my mom, and long time ago in the 80s, but long before Stand Up to Cancer existed. But since those days, I was involved with mostly breast cancer research organizations or fun awareness campaigns, and then Stand Up came along and they asked if I would be a part of it, and I was thrilled to be a part of it because it's a amazingly well organized machine, and it's mostly women who are the founders, and Laura Ziskin, the late Laura Ziskin, being the main one, and I've just always been so impressed with how well they've done with these telethons.
That could also be telecasts, too.
Or telethon/telecast, yes. And every single person on the planet has been touched by cancer in some way. And since that time, since my mom, my sister had ovarian cancer, and then many of my friends, and all of them are survivors, so I'm happy about that.
Which definitely has something to do with the amount of research that's been done in the last 20 to 30 years.
Of course, yes.
I think the survival rate for cancer rate has been astronomical compared to previously. Yeah,
Oh,
it gets better
absolutely.
and better.
Yeah. I mean, but unfortunately, the statistics are very high for people to get cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 2 men, and 1 in 3 women. So we got to keep the dollars coming in, to fund more research.
You said that the founders, or most of the people that founded the company, are women. Was that something that you were impressed and sort of surprised by, that you wanted to be a part of because of that?
I don't know if I was necessarily surprised, but I mean, certainly impressive. You know, women get things done. I mean,
Agreed.
you know,
Agreed.
honestly, it's you get most of these women have. You know, Sherry Lansing is on the board, and I mean, these women have been like powerhouses in the entertainment industry, and you know, who have dealt with a lot of powerful men, and they've like, you know, able to, you know, mine that battlefield and survive.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
That Sherry Lansing.
Yes, she is. She's very cool. Yeah, she's married to Billy Friedkin, and
Which I always sort of love. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about a woman who's battled the boys of the industry. She married like a boy of the industry. I mean, he's a brilliant, smart director, but his films are like
they're
like
real
very
dude
male
films.
Yeah.
Yes. But actually, Billy, he actually directed a couple episodes of CSI.
That's right.
Yeah, because he and Billy Peterson had done To Live and Die in L.A. together, and they remained friends. And he's so charming, Billy Friedkin. Like,
He's an amazing raconteur. Like, he can tell a story like nobody else.
oh, a great storyteller. Yes, yeah.
That
for
must have
sure.
been one of the coolest things about doing a show like CSI is that the directors that kind of come through there, because Billy
Yeah.
Friedkin wasn't the only sort of big name director to walk through those doors. And didn't Tarantino direct an episode
Yes,
of
he
CSI
did.
at one point?
Yes, he did. He directed it. It was a 2-hour season finale. It was season 5 finale, and he was involved in the story, you know, with the writers in the writers' room, and it was really supposed to be an hour-long episode. But Quentin, you know, everybody adored having. He's so sweet and so inventive and creative and so good to everyone. But you know, the story kept growing, and so then it became a 2-hour finale.
I really think this scene between the two of you needs to be 15 pages rather than 3.
Yeah, yes, and yeah, it was great. He was a doll.
Yeah. What was who were some of your favorites that came through CSI in terms of directors at that time? Do you remember like some of the great directors that you worked with?
Oh my gosh! Well, those were the two more famous ones. I don't know if we've had anybody that went on. We had a lot of DPs, cinematographers, who went on to, you know, we kept losing them because films kept calling. But let's see. We certainly had a lot of interesting guest stars. We had Taylor Swift as a guest star.
You guys had
and-
Taylor Swift as a guest star on CSI? I didn't know that.
Yeah, when she was 16, she was a big star, but not like a mega superstar. And she was so sweet. She was a kind of obsessed with the show, and she was good. She was quite talented, and it was in her acting, you know, persona. And Justin Bieber was on the show, and Roger Daltrey was on the show. That was really fun, playing with scenes with Roger Daltrey, because, you know, the theme song, "Who Are You?" and is this, you know.
What did you think when they told you that Roger Daltrey was going to be, you're going to do scenes with Roger Daltrey?
Well, I actually told him at the time, because I was a teenager, sort of had a crush on him, and because he had his few solo albums. I even had his solo album. I think it was called like "Ride a Rock Horse" or something like that.
I'm sure it was called "Ride the Rock Horse" or something like that.
And you know,
80s Daltrey, yeah.
it was like sort of an Equus kind of pose on it, with the shirt off and that flowing hair, and you know, just the rock god sitting upon a horse, right? And but the scene I did with him, he had played this character that was a master of disguise. So every day the poor guy had to go through like heavy duty prosthetic makeup. But the scene I had with him, because I had the final scene where he gets arrested and he's in a hospital room because he had injured himself in this bust or whatever. Then I get to nail him, and you know, leaning down and like looking into those blue eyes, telling him to, you know what, Mickey. Anyway, yeah, it's our little secret between Roger and me.
Going back to the thing that you said about getting involved with Stand Up to Cancer and the founders being women, and I think I latched onto that a little bit because you're in this play right now by Teresa Rebeck that is all
Yes.
about women in the workplace.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if sort of, you know, if that idea is on your mind a little bit as well. What has it been like to do this play from 1992 about gender politics in the office place while we're in the midst of what seems like, hopefully, a really great tipping point for gender politics in the culture?
Well, a little backstory about this play, what we're up against. It was originally, if I have the story correct, it was originally written as a one-act. It's part of a workshop that Teresa was involved in, Teresa Rebeck, the playwright. And it was like a female playwright's answer to a male playwright. And this was her, homage or whatever to David Mamet. And
You're gonna say I didn't even know the answer, but as soon as you said an homage to a male playwright, I was like, oh, yeah, gender politics. Yeah, this is gonna be Mamet.
Yeah.
1992. Yeah.
yes. So, and then at some point, I think around 2000, I think it was maybe the Magic Theater in San Francisco. Again, I don't know if this is actual fact, but I read this somewhere that someone there, the artistic director said, if you expand this to a full-length play, we'll produce it. So, but this is the first New York production of this play. So there was talk that they wanted to perhaps maybe update this story to 2017, but then that changed by the time I got involved. They said, no, we're going to keep it in 92, just to sort of show the audience how little things have changed in the workplace. It's an architecture firm. There's 5 of us, 2 women. I'm the more seasoned team player, go along to get along kind of person at the firm. And Carissa Rodriguez plays the younger one who's like the hot shot out of architecture school and doesn't get it, doesn't understand why she can't immediately start designing. And she is talented. We all, acknowledge that. But there's a system in place because of the boss and the other boss and all the other guys that, this is how you initiative, but then you have to be patient, you have to wait your turn, you have to do this, you have to do, menial tasks and drafting, et cetera. And she has no interest in that, even though I give her, this is how you do it. And that, of course, leads to lots of, conflict within the firm. And but it's a black comedy. I want to emphasize that. Yet very thought-provoking because of the subject matter. It's not like sexual predatory behavior is not happening in this story, or is assault. It's just that malaise of, pervasive misogyny and just dismissiveness of women, and how...
And you would argue that predatory behavior and assault is often a reflection of the sort of misogynistic, prevalent misogyny that underlies everything in the culture.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody's talking about it. You can't, walk down the street without either someone else coming forward or... but I just people talking on CNN, they try to I guess, qualify or define sexual harassment, sexual predatory behavior, and sexual harassment between. So it's a fine line between some of those, and. But, the silver lining in all of this, because I am an optimist, and I think there is a silver lining in most everything, is that I think it's gotten people much more awake and attuned to this happening on a regular basis. I mean, it's been going on forever, and not just in Hollywood or on Capitol Hill. It happens in Wall Street. It happens in Silicon Valley, everywhere. And I think people are just going to have to be a lot more sensitive and
nicer and respectful to women.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Wouldn't that be nice?
Respect women as people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I hope it doesn't become something where people don't just not do something because they're afraid they'll get in trouble for it. I hope it leads to people sort of respecting the dignity of men, respecting the dignity of women,
Well, I mean, the fact that so many women, why didn't you say this then? It's because... Yeah, there's always the backlash of blaming the victim, which is happening within the Roy Moore case. I mean, that's all he's doing, and his supporters are doing. Even though there's I don't know how many women now. Yeah, and I mean that's just so repulsive that somebody would, if and they keep saying, well, if true. Well, you think these women? It's cost them a lot to step forward, and I'm sure they've got death threats. They've got all kinds of.
Alabama's a small state. Everybody knows who they are in that state. They're not getting off scot-free when they walk out their door for coming forward, It's not easy for them.
Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. So, yes, I just hope it gives women courage to continue to step forward, or men too. I mean, I'm not trying to make this all about, Me Too, the Me Too campaign, or, just it's all a women's issue, because it's not.
That's true. You're also in a movie right now called Almost Friends, right? It's out in theaters and it's coming out on VOD.
Yes, today. It's in
Today.
10 select cities. I wish I could tell you which the cities are. I should be more prepared, should I?
The usual select cities guide.
Yes. And then, yes, video on demand and iTunes today. And it's movie called Almost Friends that stars Freddie Highmore. He's the lead character. I play his mother. Christopher Maloney is in it. He plays my ex. Odeya Rush is in it. Haley Joel Osment. A lot of younger actors. It's essentially a coming-of-age millennial story, and so it's got heart and soul and laughs and tears, but it's a kind of movie that the whole family can watch, especially families that are going to be getting together this Thanksgiving holiday season. It's, because it's a lot of millennials will be coming home.
Yeah, if you
Right.
want to not talk about what's going on in the world today, this
This is not at all controversial.
Yeah.
It's just a real human story. And yes, throw on Almost Friends, yeah.
What are you going to be doing with your family for Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm doing the show, so we actually do have Thanksgiving off, but my son and daughter-in-law were going to be visiting me from LA, but that's not happening now. So I'm going to go out to Long Island, and some friends have invited me out there, so I'll, I guess, hop on the jitney and eat up a storm, watch some football, and head back the next day, and then got to finish up the show.
Now, you've done television, a lot of television in your career. You've done a lot of film as well, and you've done theater. What would you say is your biggest passion of the three?
Honestly, it's all about the material, really. The material and the group of people that you're working with. This was a great piece of writing, what we're up against. And I didn't know any of the actors beforehand, but the first read-through, I was just, oh my God, I was like intimidated a little bit because they were just so good. And it seemed like have all their lines down, which is always like, wait a minute, because television, you do a new episode every so many days, and you're kind of learning the lines on the fly. But theater actors are so used to, I guess, learning lines so quickly. But I mean, you know a good script when you read it, and then when you get to know who's involved, whether it's from all producers to directors to the technicians, and then it takes on a whole life of its own, and it's exciting. So I can't say that I prefer one over the other. I like them all. I mean, I think, theater in the rehearsal process has, I think, a steeper learning curve because you're rehearsing all day and then you have to go home and learn lines, which can be tedious, but it's the only way, you just got to drill them and drill them and drill them because you don't have that second take. You don't have that safety net of, oh, let me just pick it up. It's live.
Do you find that you discover the character more and more as you do more performances of the play?
Yes. As you do when you're doing a television series.
To each episode, each storyline that you get to
more and
discover
more of the character is revealed. But in plays, yes. Like, in fact, that happens to me like practically every performance. Like, oh, well, I'm going to try it this way, and as with the other actors too, and that's what makes it exciting, and it's always, and the fact that it's now just the show is just the actors that are in control. You don't have the director, you don't have any of the technicians, and you have to rely on the technicians, obviously for the cues, the lighting cues, and the sound cues, etc. And you hope your props are in the right place, but sometimes things go wrong, and that's what sort of makes it like it's kind of dangerous too. Like, oops. Gotta make this up and figure out how to get out of this scene.
I have an acting question for you because you used the phrase "try it this way," and I've taken a fair amount of acting classes in my day. As nerdy as that sounds, when you're acting on the stage and you go into it saying like I'm going to try it this way, do you find that works out, or do you find that everything has to sort of adapt to the tone and momentum of what is already sort of taking place on stage with the other actors?
Well, I obviously think it's important to be in the tone of whatever the tone has been set with the other actors or with the director. But I think once you feel confident in that tone, you can play within that range. So, that's what keeps it alive. That's what keeps it. And editors, not in stage, but on film and television, editors love having scenes to pick and choose from or takes to pick and choose from because it just makes it more fun for them too.
Let's get some questions from the audience. Who has a question?
Hi, thanks for being here. I was
course.
wondering, did you get to work directly with Teresa Rebeck working on the
Yes.
play, and how was that?
Yes, Teresa was in a lot of the rehearsals when we were still in the rehearsal hall over at the Women's Project space, and it was because even though they had a production, like I said, in the early I think 2000, the year 2000, but it was slashing this or adding that, and in fact there was some lines that were cut in the final scene that I have with Krista Rodriguez's character, Eliza, and my character's Janice. Anyway, and she was, I don't know what she was feeling, oh, maybe this play is too long or whatever. So she was like slashing away. And it was, in my view, it was like really kind of pertinent stuff that, not just for Janice's character, but for the point of the play, and or one of the points, I should say. And so I kind of like, I just, sucked it up and said, okay, I'll try to make it work. And then when we were getting closer and closer to our first preview performances, with a live audience, I just kept saying to the director, I said, I'm sorry, I just think this scene is really truncated, and can we just go back and look at the script? And so she said, you know what, you take a look at it tonight and email me your thoughts, and I will look at it and pass it along to Teresa, because Teresa wasn't with us in the later rehearsals. And so I did that, and she said, I love it, I'm going to send it to Teresa, and Teresa loved it. And ironically, what I say in my final sort of monologue in the play is what I think has everybody kind of like, oh, now I get it, And it's funny how a playwright would not understand, and I'm trying to, with all due respect to Teresa, that she would release, in her own words, she would just say, not get how important this point is right here at that point. But it...
Well, for the playwright, they have the point in their head throughout the whole play, and you worry that you get too on the nose and you pull back.
Yeah,
I
think that's, in fact, that may have even been some of the dialogue that she used at the time. She thinks that maybe we already said this before, or, because she was because some playwrights, every word is so precious, and she's not like that at all, She's very easy to slash and burn the dialogue.
The living, breathing process of a play and of a television show and a movie is such a cool thing, because I think so many people who don't take part in the process view it as like, there's this thing, and then there's this thing, and then there's this thing, and it's all sort of a set vision from the beginning, and it's a lot of like writing, rewriting, collaborating, talking about it, figuring it out, and a genius playwright like Teresa Rebeck, still kind of being with you on the stage and then emailing with you and be like, oh, you know what? I'm the playwright, but you're right, and this is better. Let's go with that.
No, that was great. I'm certainly glad I spoke up, and I think that Adrienne, the director, I think she was really happy that and the cast, everybody says, oh yeah, now this scene comes sort of like, now we get it, now it makes sense, and it really has that punch at the end that it kind of needed.
Let's get another question.
Hi there.
Hi.
So having been on CSI, are there any crimes that still stand out to you today from the show?
Oh my God. Well, most of our crimes were made up. They were loosely inspired by other, crimes that the nation knew about, or the world, whatever, as opposed to, ripped from the headlines, which I think Law and Order was more known for. But anyway, there was an episode that involved, it's kind of graphic, an episode involving gender reassignment surgery gone wrong. And so it was a male to female, and we were called, the criminalists were called to a storage unit that, one of the managers had opened up the storage unit because there was a foul smell coming out of it. And it was this corpse of this woman who was person in transition that was her legs in stirrups, and it just was a bloody mess. It was just a massacre. And meanwhile, this was just a prosthetic, corpse. It wasn't a real person, of course. But it was so shockingly real and disturbing that none of us could really stay in that and it was we shot in a real storage unit. It wasn't like a set, which made it a little creepier too, because it was some storage unit in the middle of nowhere, and it was 2:00 in the morning or something like that. And I mean, all the crew was mostly all guys, and they were like, no, I'm out of here. Until it was like, cut, okay, gone. And that's the one that really like stands out the most to me. But there were several. I mean, I did 267 episodes, I think, of that show. Yeah. Sure.
How many years were you on the show?
I was on for 11 and a half seasons.
That's 267 episodes, and for 11.
Yeah, well, and I came back to do the 300th episode, and then I did the final episode, which William Peterson came back for as well. So I think it all added up to about 267, because we did a lot of episodes. One season we did 25 episodes. That was the Tarantino season. It ended up being episode 24 and 25. Yeah. Uh-huh.
What prompted you after 11 and a half seasons to leave? Was it just time to go?
Yes, that's one way of putting it. I honestly had nothing to do with the people. That was the hardest part, was leaving the people, because we became such a family, and I'm still good friends with all those people. In fact, there was three CSI people that came this week to see the show. One lives here, but the other two came from L.A. It was so sweet. It's funny, I had done it for so long, and the show was so popular, like worldwide, and I did a lot of publicity, both here in the U.S. and abroad. And there was a part of me that I was feeling like I was becoming a part of my identity, and I was uncomfortable with that. And so, like, my whole life, I thought, well, okay, that means the show. Okay, so I can't do that because of the show. I mean, that's the way I was thinking, And it was as great as that show was in every way. Honestly, it was. I had nothing but amazing things to say about that whole experience. I really kind of had to, assess what was happening with me. I mean, not that I was like losing it or anything, or thinking that I was Catherine Willows. I'm now Catherine Willows, or anything like that. I guess I was just done. I had done it, and so it was time to take a break.
Yeah. Next question, or
Hi.
the last question, I believe. Right here.
Hi. I was wondering, as an actor, what draws you to a project?
Well, it always starts with the script, right? If it's a great script, or what's the Shakespeare? If it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. That kind of thing, and which is true. I mean, although you can elevate a sort of a mediocre script with a great cast and a great director. You definitely can do that, but you can't take a terrible script and make it good. You can't. Martin Scorsese can't take a terrible script and make it good. I mean, as great as he is,
It at least has to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has to. It has to make sense. It has to have. The characters have to make sense, and you want to care about the characters, and so the combination of the material and the talent involved. I mean, knowing who the director is and the cast, other cast, if they've been cast, but. Ultimately, it's the script.
So right now, people, if they purchase anything at CVS, they can donate $1 or a few dollars, whatever they're willing to donate to Stand Up to Cancer, right? For the Value of a Dollar campaign.
Yes, until November 19th.
Until November 19th. And if people want to see, which they should, your play, the Teresa Rebeck play, What We're Up Against, it is at the Women's Project Theater, right? On 73rd?
76th and Broadway. You was close.
76th and Broadway. And Almost
Just
Friends.
up from the Beacon Theater.
Right. And Almost Friends is on VOD right now, on iTunes, on demand, and in select cities for people to see, right?
That's right. Yes, and what we're up against is through December 3rd.
Through December 3rd.
Yes.
Excellent. Everybody give a round of applause for Marg. Let's hear it.
Thank you. Thank you.